Hi there and welcome back to Security Skills. I'm Carl Randall and I'm back with security expert Anthony Milner. This video is all about report writing, which is incredibly important, especially after big incidents. And luckily, we've got Anthony to guide us through the best practices. Let's get into it. Why is a solid report so important?
It's very important to write a good, solid report because this could be used as evidence later in court. So making sure we include everything and making sure it's very clear is very, very important.
And when would you actually need to write a report?
If anything serious happens, any use of force, anything like that, somebody's injured, reports come in many shapes and forms. It could be even a first aid incident. You need to write down internal documents, internal report, or in fact an MG11 witness statement, section 9 statement, which would go to the police and could be used as evidence. What is important to remember is that they could all be used as evidence. So anything serious happens on our site that we're responsible for, we need to write a report on.
So you mentioned that reports are really important because they could potentially be used as evidence. So what should a security professional in particular remember to include in their report?
Important thing is to include your details, so who you are, who's writing the report, date, time. If you're writing it with pen, it's got to be in black ink. You've got to write a full detailed account of what actually happened. And then of course, very, very important at the end of the report is to make sure you sign the report as well.
And is there a specific structure that somebody should follow when they're writing a report?
Yes, we do follow a sort of standard structure, and it's the best thing to do when writing any statement or report is to learn a basic structure and then stick with that every time. So we always start off with an introduction, who we are. So essentially, my name is, I work here on this date at this time, at this location, this incident happened. So your description should be as detailed as you can make it for your introduction. A lot of the time, if we're writing statements a lot, we may have almost like a cheat sheet where the introduction is already pre-written and you're just changing some details like time and date on there, so that way you're not forgetting any important details. If you've got a license, an SIA license, you'd include the SIA license number in there as well. Then you're going to go into the sort of important part, the detail of what exactly happened. We want to describe everybody involved. The best way to do that is to go through the description process, stay away from things like IC codes at this stage, use just lay terms. So example, white European or white man or something like that instead of IC1. And then also make sure we include everybody involved as well. So make sure we give descriptions of everybody. And if we're going to do descriptions of everybody kind of near the beginning, what we tend to do is we then label people as well. So we'd have male 1, male 2. So full description, male 1. Full description, female 1. Description, male 2, etc. It really does help later on when you're trying to piece it together if you reread your statement. Another important thing to do is to reread your statement, make sure it does all make sense and you haven't forgotten anything. We always do this in black ink if we're handwriting it. If it's going to be typed up, it would naturally be in black ink as well. If we're going to print out a typed note, we still have to sign it at the end. And of course, if we're handwriting, we still sign as well. When writing a statement or report by hand, it's important to write from margin to margin and don't write in paragraph form either. Reason being is you don't want anyone to be able to tamper with what you've written. And lastly, once you've signed it, and if you've made any errors, if it's a handwritten document, and you will cross out the error, single line through, initial it, and at the end of the statement, you would say, this statement is true to the best of my knowledge and belief, words to that effect, something like that. And then you'd also include the number of errors that you've made. So you'd count up if you've crossed out, say, 6 words, you'd say this was completed by me at this time. So you'd include the time that you wrote the statement and then say, and it includes 6 errors each initialed by me.
And when it comes to actually writing the statement, is there a best way to actually write it?
Well, yeah, I mean, we try and stay professional at all times. One thing I will say that is quite interesting, and some people shy away from it, is if someone swears at you and you're quoting them in the statement, you would write exactly what they said. Don't try and change the words because you think, oh, it's a foul word the person's used, I don't want to write that. No, you would write it exactly like it was spoken to you. And you would do it in black ink. If you're handwriting it, you want to do it in as neat as handwriting as possible. Block capitals is probably the best way to do that. That's the main sort of way of doing it, yes.
Okay, so you've completed your statement, you've written it. What is something you need to do once you've finished?
One of the most important things you want to do is reread the statement. Make sure it makes sense. If you are part of a team, it might be worthwhile just having a colleague read through it to make sure it does make sense. If it's a police statement, the police normally will be with you when you take the statement, or they'll take the statement off you, in which case they'll read through it or read it back to you before you sign it. Make sure you're happy before you sign anything. If you've made any errors or anything like that, you want to count those up and just add a line at the bottom to say this statement was completed by me at this time, so the time you completed the statement, which, let's be honest, at the time of the incident is not going to be when you complete the statement. It will be a few hours later, most likely. Important to include that. If anyone was in the presence with you, so if you and I were together and I said, we're both involved in the incident, and I said I completed this statement with my colleague Carl, who was present with me when I completed the statement at this time. The statement contains 6 errors. I have initialed each error. And of course, most importantly, make sure we've signed that statement, because without the signature, it cannot be used as evidence.
And another thing that's worth mentioning is at the bottom of your statement, you should always write the following statement. This is written to the best of my knowledge.
Yeah, so if you're writing a statement for the police, you actually won't have to do that at all, because in an MG11, which is the official Section 9 police statement, it's written already at the top. Before you even write the statement, you will have a little paragraph that says something along the lines of, this statement is true to the best of my knowledge and belief, and I know if it's tendered in evidence in court, I'll be liable to prosecution if I willfully state anything I do not believe to be true or know to be false. So something along those lines. You've actually already signed that before you start your statement. If that's the case, there's no need to include that again, because you've already signed to say that that's the case. If you're writing on a piece of paper or you're typing it up, then yes, you would need to include something along those lines at some point in the statement. Essentially saying, if I've made a mistake, I'm a human being, I can make a mistake, that's not a problem. But if I've willfully lied in the statement, that's perjury, and essentially I'm breaking the law by doing so.
Thank you, Anthony, for guiding us through report writing. So to summarize, always make sure you have a good introduction. Be as accurate as possible with your dates, times, and locations, and always remember to sign it. I hope you found this useful, and we'll see you on the next one.